What up, world? It's your boy RD. Welcome back to Journey to the Bag. A friend of mine sent me a video. In this video, it's a woman complaining about how she regrets purchasing a house after having it for a few years. And at the end of the video, there's a guy giving his opinion, basically saying that people should continue to rent instead of purchasing a home. I got a maybe biased opinion about this, seeing how I've owned a couple homes and I've bought a few properties over the last few years. So let's take a look at the video. I'll give my opinions and then you can tell me what you think. The video is pretty long, so I'm gonna skip through some of it. I'm not gonna show the whole thing. I'm not gonna waste your time. All right, let's get into it.
Yesterday was my 3-year anniversary of becoming a home borrower. I borrowed this house from the bank 3 years ago and I hate it. And some people are asking me why do you hate it? Because I can't afford it. I can't afford this house. When I borrowed the house, I could afford it. And the bank insured that. Since then though, when I borrowed this house, my homeowner's insurance was $1,323 a year. Today, 3 years later, my homeowner's insurance is $2,654 a year. That is a little over $100 increase, which is added to my payment. Now, I know a lot of people will say crap like, oh, well, you know, if you buy a house, your mortgage will be cheaper than your rent. Sure, if I were to rent a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, my rent would be a lot more than my principal and interest on this house. However, I'm escrowed, so it doesn't matter because I have to pay principal and interest, my property taxes, and my homeowner's insurance monthly. So I know some people will usually say like, oh, my mortgage increased by $200 this year. Yes, we're not actually referring to the mortgage, which is the principal and interest amount. We're referring to the overall payment that we have to submit to the bank every month. It's not actually the mortgage, we know that, but we're in escrow, we don't have a choice. So it's the mortgage payment that we're paying. When I signed up for this house, I signed up to pay $1,800 a month. I'm close to the $2,200 now in 3 years. That's a lot of money. And it's only going to continue to increase. And that's kind of my issue with this right now. Because I'm at a point where I'm like, this is actually no different than renting. The only difference is that I don't have a landlord that I can call when my toilet overflows. Or, you know, when the basement floods or whatever happens. I don't have that option. Of course. And we all know that going into homeownership. Like, I had the savings for that. It was, you know, I was fully aware of that. But everything is increasing, and we all know that too. Like, everything, the cost of living is increasing, and I can't afford this house. I hate it. But I can't, it's like, I'm probably not going to go back to renting because I invested over $30,000 into living here. I don't know, you know, I got sucked into the world of, oh my God, I want to get married, I want to buy a house, I want to do this. It's like, I let society tell me that's what I wanted, but when I got it, I don't want it. I don't like being a homeowner. I don't like it. And I don't care about, oh, well, when you pay your house off in 30 years, I don't care about that. Because the end goal for me is just making sure I have some place to come home to, have a roof over my head. And like I said, this isn't mine. Whether I'm renting or borrowing or owning, this it's not mine. It's not ours. Like, it can be taken away regardless.
Yep, you'll pay property taxes. Everybody's buying houses and they're hiding the fact that years later that they're going through a lot of stuff. I've seen so many people buy a house. They buy their house and they go quiet. They don't ever talk about buying houses again. Instead, they start making videos about how they wish they knew this before they bought the house, or X, Y, and Z before they bought the house. And guess what? It doesn't matter no more because now you're there for 30 years, 40 years. Here's my thing. If you're not sure on whether or not you want to buy a house, like me, I'm not sure if I want to buy a house, right? Because my rent's $2,500. People say, oh, it's cheaper to just mortgage. And I'm thinking like, yeah, it will be cheaper to mortgage, but we're not including all those other fees that goes around mortgage, like the fees that continue to grow every year. We're not thinking about those things. So if she's already up to $2,200, why would I? About in 4 more years, in 3 more years, she'll probably be at 2,500 and I'll be at 2,600. The way my rent's increasing, if I stayed here, my rent increases every other year. So it's like, I don't know. What do y'all think? I feel like buying a house is a waste of money, a waste of time, a waste of energy. I feel like you're just gonna be stuck in some shit. It ain't even worse. It ain't even worth the stress that comes with it, if you ask me. But what do y'all think?
So let's start with the first complaint, the increase of her homeowner's insurance. She said it's gone up $100 a month over the last 3 years. You know you can shop for insurance, right? There are several sites and there are even insurance brokers that'll shop for you. You can go to multiple different insurance providers and just shop for insurance. So I don't know where she lives and how her insurance is essentially doubled over the last 3 years. Maybe she lives in Florida, but you can shop for insurance and try to find a cheaper rate. You can do this every year. You don't have to be stuck with a premium that goes up every year. And she might have left out some things. If you have a lot of claims on your insurance, then yeah, your insurance rate goes up. So the more you use actual insurance, the more expensive it'll get as well. So keep that in mind. As far as her being able to afford it, she says she could afford it when she first borrowed. Now she can't afford it now. The bank might say you can afford it, but the bank only looks at your required liabilities, credit cards, student loans, things like that. They don't look at your lifestyle creep over time and other expenses that you throw in there. There's a rule that financial experts talk about, the 28-36 rule. Only 28% of your monthly income should go to your housing. And that includes your principal, insurance, property taxes, HOAs, all of that. 36% should go to your other debts. If you're making $6,000 a month, no more than $1,680 should be going to your mortgage payment. I don't know how much she makes, but if it's going up to $2,200, then hopefully her income should have gone up a good amount as well. The bank will allow you to have up to, especially for FHA, 48% debt to income, something like that. That doesn't give you a lot of room to play with when it comes to this 28% rule. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you really can afford it. Don't just listen to what the bank will tell you. They'll do anything to get your money. Some FHA lenders will let you go up to as high as 50% debt to income. So keep that in mind. The bank will tell you what you can afford, but do your own calculations. You know what you can afford and what you can't. And you don't have to escrow everything. You can pay those things separately. There is a such thing as withholding maybe your property taxes until the end of the year when they're due. You don't have to pay everything in escrow. So that was another point that she made. Your mortgage going up $400 in 3 years is a decent increase. But if you really could afford the house, then $400 over 3 years shouldn't kill you. If you haven't been able to increase your income by $400 over 3 years, you're doing something wrong. Just saying. Home prices are the highest they've ever been. I mean, if you look at this graph, you can see how the prices have just gone up year over year over year over year. The average home price in America is around $400,000. So yeah, it's pretty expensive to purchase a home. When you think about pros of owning a house, just think about it. The value of homes have gone up historically, have gone up year over year. There have been dips. You can look at this graph and see how there are dips, especially in 2008 when the housing market crashed. If you hold on to a home over time, you're gonna get more out of it than what you put in. It's gonna be valued higher than what you initially paid for it. I like to think of it like a forced savings account. Every payment that you make towards that principal is just equity that you're putting in, money that you're saving that you can pull out whenever you sell a house or refinance the house. You gotta think about the stability when it comes to owning a home. You don't have to worry about if your landlord is gonna up the rent $100 a month. You don't have to worry about whether your landlord is going to up and sell your building and you're gonna have to move. I've had family members that rent. They've been forced to move because the owner, the landlord, decided to sell the building. That happens. There's tax benefits too to owning. Every time you make an interest payment, you can use that to reduce your tax liability every year. So yeah, there's some cons as well. So maintenance, you're gonna have to pay for maintenance. If your toilet overflows or a flood happens, something like that, you're gonna have to come out of pocket for that. Yeah. You're gonna have to pay utilities, you're gonna have to pay insurance, all of those things. If anything breaks, you're gonna have to pay for it. Those are things that you have to plan for. You are an owner. I believe that the true path to wealth is through ownership. You have to own something. You have to own an asset. You have to own a business. You have to own something that goes up in value over time. And if you are renting and not creating, not owning, not building something, not putting money into a stock, not investing something, you are essentially giving money away. Real estate is something that has been passed down through my family, so I have a stronger appreciation for it. But you don't have to invest in real estate. You don't have to buy a home. You can buy stock, you can buy cars that increase in value, you can buy watches, you can buy jewelry, gold, anything that goes up in value. But does it make more sense to pay a mortgage or pay rent? Right now, the way interest rates are looking, buying a home, that payment is going to be pretty high. So it might make more sense to rent for the time being. But you could also look at it like those rates won't last forever, and there's a possibility that they will go down. And if they go down, then you can refinance. And it's true, if you don't pay them property taxes, they will come take your home. It'll take some years, but they'll get you. But you do own the house. You can sell it when you want to. When you rent, you can't sell anything. You don't own anything. You don't have anything. So think about that. $30K that she put into the house, she could get that $30K back out when she sells it. Or she can refinance, do a cash out, do a home equity line of credit and get that money back out when she wants it. You can't do that when you're renting. At the end of the day, it just seems like she really couldn't afford the house. The bank told her what she could afford, but if she had looked at all of the things that come with a house, maintenance and all of these things that come with the house, and how insurance does creep over time and how you have to shop for these things, she might have come to a better conclusion of how much house she could afford. There's a such thing as house poor. We tend to go for more than what we need. Did she really need a 4-bed, 2-bath house? Could she have gone with something smaller that she could afford and been in a happier situation? Then she wouldn't be making this video. But then again, I wouldn't have content. So you tell me what you think. You like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for me, hit the bell notification so you see when I post these videos. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, the world is yours. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.